What is going on, everyone? It's Brody again, back to answer probably one of the most common questions I've seen and heard, as well as answered before when I was talking with people about the rackets. And the question is, what tension do I actually string my tennis racket at? And the answer is, it depends. Now, the reason I say that it depends is because there are so many different types of string. You have polyester, multifilament, synthetic gut, natural gut, and then also Kevlar, but we don't really talk about Kevlar. Trust me, you want to save your arm from falling off. You know what I mean. So, regardless, with stringing your racket, most of the times when people go to get their racket restrung because the strings are moving or they're just lost a lot of tension because they can do that and you hear that noise a bunch, then they go to the people or the stringer, whoever is able to redo their racket, and they're like, can you restring this racket? And then they get asked this one simple question and they're dumbfounded. And the question is, what tension do you want that at? And this is their response. What does that mean? So, what that means is, how tight do you want the strings in your racket? And the way that you can tell is because each racket comes with a recommended range for how tight you can put the string. On this racket, the Wilson Pro Staff, I believe this is the V11. Yep, the V11 Pro Staff 97 RF. There's actually words and numbers here in the throat, and it will tell you the tension range for your racket. So you want to stay within that range because that is where the manufacturers, whether it be Wilson, Head, Babolat, Yonex, and any other manufacturer, has decided that the racket will play best at. So then you have to think, okay, if there's this range, could I go higher? Could I go lower? And you'd never want to go higher than that range because not only is that dangerous to the racket because it's outside of the recommended range, so the racket is more likely to break when they pull the string to put it in, but it's also going to be really tight and really hard on your arm, so it's just not going to do well for a lot of people. Now, if you want to go lower, you can. The one thing about going lower is the fact that the string is a lot more loose, so you're going to get a lot of power. You're not going to have as much control. And that's where the types of different string come into play. So with polyester strings, because those strings are designed to be more durable as well as give you more control and give you more spin, you can get away with going at a lower tension. Usually sometimes you can go slightly above the middle. I wouldn't recommend typically going above 2 pounds higher than the middle of your racket's specific range, because after that, some of the polyesters can get really, really stiff and just hurt your arm no matter what you do. You'll have a lot of control, but you're not really gonna have much else. So with polyesters, I'd say the max you wanna go maybe above 2 above the middle of your racket's range, and then after that, you can usually go lower. And at that point, it's just a guessing game and you get to mess around and play with different tensions to see what you actually prefer. So with this racket's range is from 50 pounds to 60 pounds if you were looking for a polyester. If you just wanted a balance of control and power for the polyester and from the racket, you go right in the middle at 55. No questions, no need to ask. If you want the tension to be a little bit looser because you know it's a polyester string, it's a stiffer string, that way it's not as hard on you, you get a little bit more power back because you go into a lower tension, try 2 pounds below the middle. So instead of 55, you go to 53. Play around with it, see what you think, and as long as you're able to maintain good control, spin, power, and everything that you like about the racket, you may have just found your tension. If not, try again. Never hurts. Now, other than polyesters, like I said, there are a few different other types of strings. You have multifilament strings. The multifilament strings is actually what these are right here. They're a lot softer of a string, so usually you can get away with going right at the baseline of 55. and even going a little higher than the middle of the tension because these strings are so much softer. They can usually get strung a little bit tighter so you can gain more control back from a already powerful and soft string, as well as just make it a little bit more, I'll say, just tighter so the strings don't move as much, which does cause them to break a lot quicker. Sometimes if you go too tight though, like I said, the string is gonna get pulled really tight. Sometimes that can snap them. So you never wanna go anywhere above that range, and I usually almost never recommend anyone to go at the exact highest of the range, because then it's still dangerous to the racket. It may be a recommended range, but you usually don't want to go up that high. Now for synthetic guts, it's typically your basic run-of-the-mill string. I'd say you could probably just put it at the middle for your racket. You'd be fine. You don't necessarily need anything too special with those. If you're playing with synthetic gut, you're either A, new to the game probably, and you're really wanting to see what the racket can do and get a feel for the racket. B, you are playing with the string because you know that it is a little bit less expensive. You've tried the other ones and you're just like, I don't play that much, so synthetic gut works just fine for me. And then third, you played with it when you started, you liked it, and you're like, it's cool, I'm fine. And there you go. You get everything you need out of it. You just play around with the tension. You're all good. And then finally, natural gut. Natural gut. Most people don't necessarily need natural gut because the multi-filament will do the exact job that you need. If you are going to string up a natural gut string, make sure your stringer has worked with natural gut before, because that string will get so many kinks in it that it'll either ruin the string, it'll ruin the pack, you'll have to get a new one, and if the stringer doesn't cover any damages that they do, which that would be really stupid of them in my opinion, that is terrible. But if for some reason that's the case and you're forced to get another pack, you're gonna be out like above, if you're doing a full pack, out more than $45 typically. So you can string natural gut. I'd say a good baseline is you can probably go at the middle of your tension range. I probably wouldn't go much lower because natural gut is also very soft, so it's very powerful. You get a lot of feedback from the string, but it's also the most susceptible to everything. And because of how powerful it is, it's not very good in control. So don't be afraid to put natural gut a little higher in the tension range. Still don't go near that top of the range. 2 pounds above the middle for your racket, maybe 3 depending on what the middle of your range is, and that way you can actually have a good decent understanding of what each string is going to play with, rather than having a string that's possibly going to damage your racket to where you have to get a new one, or just pop the string right away, which then makes you have to get it restrung again, waste another pack, waste more money, and waste more time because you don't have a racket to play with. So if you found this racket information valuable, as well as any of the information with the strings, subscribe to the channel so I can get out this information to all the people who actually need it, rather than all the misinformation that's going around in the tennis industry. I saw a lot of people didn't actually know what this stuff meant, so I took it upon myself to make sure that I was the one who got all this information out to you so that you don't get hurt playing the sport that we all love. So if you enjoyed the video and got any value out of it, leave a comment down below, like the video, and share it with a friend who may be questioning what tension they should go with or what strings they should use within their racket, so that they know what may work best for them, as well as so they don't hurt their arm and have to stop playing the sport that we all love. So, as always, take care.